You all thought I was done with Epic the Musical. Well, I found out there's cut sagas. I didn't find that out. I mean, you all told me constantly when I was doing the reaction, so I guess I didn't find it out. More I remembered. And I got this nifty little sweatshirt. My name is Jacob Pennerod. I'm a fantasy author, and I've done a full reaction to Epic the Musical here on the channel. But today we are going through some of the cut songs, and I am so interested by this. I think any author you talk to would be able to tell you like how much you really have to cut. Even if your second and first draft are pretty similar, there's a lot you got to cut down or adjust. And so cutting something doesn't even necessarily mean it's bad. It just means it's like not necessarily the right fit for the story, or I don't know, it's more like a snapshot in time or an attempt at something rather than a proof of a concept not working. Sometimes it's that. I had a whole character that I cut, multiple. I mean, I've had probably 10, 12 characters that I've cut. This is exciting. I'm excited to get into it. Like I said, my name is Jacob Penrod, and my book, if you're interested in reading it, you can do it right now for free. I put out a video talking about it, but I mean, it wasn't necessarily on brand for the channel, so it didn't do too great. So if you're interested in the whole project and reading my book, I'm going to link to a video up there right about now. One of those places. And then if you want to just get to reading, I'll put links for that as well. My book is called The Seven Rangers. It is an epic fantasy found family story about people coming together to defend a floating island from attacking angels. It is fun, it is heartfelt, and it is a good time all around. But that's enough about me. Okay, so I forgot the one call to action I was supposed to actually do this whole video, which was invite you to go read my story over on Royal Road. So if you want to get the first chapter, go check it out there. I actually have the first couple up by now. Should be 3, I believe. Or you can check out the first 6 chapters audio version here on YouTube, and those are going to be linked in the description. Back to the video. Let's get into Epic the Musical. Whew. When I went into this the first time, I was totally blind. Now I have the whole soundtrack memorized, so let's just see. This is called, first off, this whole playlist is put together by Simon Says, who is in the Discord for my book, and they are super cool. But also, this is not an animatic. I was going to credit the animatic. This video was uploaded by Kenshi Hateki 07. Surely that doesn't mean you were born in 07. People born, they weren't born that recently. There was a cutoff in 2000.
Men and women of Greece, I present to you the most beautiful woman in the world, my daughter, Princess Helen of Argos.
Okay, so this isn't Odysseus singing. We pause all the time on this channel. Welcome, so glad to have you. If it's not, it's obviously Jorge, but I'm not necessarily sold that it's Odysseus quite yet. But picking, obviously there's some kind of contest going on.
They don't come close to the truth, 'cause Helen's beauty.
Who's Helen?
Helen, I would go to war.
I know the name Helen of Troy, but that's all I know. Yeah. So, this is Menelaus and Odie. So, Menelaus is calling Odysseus Odie his nickname, so we know that they're friends or they're close. Okay.
Don't you worry, I've got you, trust me. I've got a plan, so don't go giving up on me now. Let's go get her.
So even in the cut songs, we still see that cunningness of Odysseus having a plan at any given time. Yeah.
I will admit that it has its advantages. Helen, the savages, look at them fighting relentlessly. They beat each other up senselessly. Jealous, Penelope? No. 'Cause sooner or later you...
Okay, so we get Penelope. Is Helen Penelope's mother? If so, is Odysseus vying for Penelope and trying to frame it a certain way? That's interesting.
You're gonna be in my shoes. Sooner or later, you're gonna have to choose too. Says who? Don't forget that these men want power. Power so they can tower and place themselves above. Silly Helen, how's this? Some intellectual prowess over some savage now is just not my time for love.
So we're reaching the midpoint of the song, which is where we're gonna, I imagine, have a turning point. Jorge, with his writing, at least with the ones that made the cut, if you look at it, during the midpoint of each song, there's almost always some dramatic shift. Or maybe not always dramatic, but there's some kind of shift where it stops it from feeling stagnant. And that's just a storytelling device. You'll find that in any kind of storytelling, whether it's like novels or music or anything like that. You won't always find it, but it is a common device.
If you would let us pass through, I promise it would be the greatest choice you've ever made. We're only here for love, love and a bit of luck too. Luck's nothing more than figuring out the right time and place. Exactly, Your Grace. Excuse me, Mr. King, the name is Otis. He is from overseas. I came.
Oh, I like this.
Look outside, those men who fight will ignite. Oh, riot, riot. But I've got a plan, we should try it, try it. I know how to keep the men quiet, quiet. How'd you get in here? Silence, you may proceed. Thank you, Your Majesty. Now.
Okay, so he's still getting his plan off, but I think it's really interesting. This is showing, I think, the early days of Odysseus and Penelope, which would, if included, it would hammer home the theme of him loving her more, but it also, I guess, broadens it a little, where with how it's presented, Odysseus clearly loves Penelope, and Odysseus clearly loves his family and wants to get home, and that's undeniable. And also, it's very centered in the point of view of Odysseus. Like, he's singing, I think, in basically every single song, with few exceptions. And he's singing here too. But I guess what I'm getting at is the finished product, as I've interpreted it, seems to be more about the interior journey of Odysseus as he's going through these different events. And this is more the exterior journey of Odysseus, and we're seeing this unfold. And I'm not saying that we never see the exterior journey, but it does strike me a bit more that way than what we got in the finished version. I don't know why he cut it, but that could be one reason.
Avoid this travesty, I propose that the men swear an oath to the gods that whomever Miss Helen selects, the men will protect. In effect, everybody prospers, everybody wins, cause everybody wants a chance at Helen, and only those who swear the oath can win the eligibility to be her husband. A man of reason, how swell. I expect you'll swear to the oath as well? For you, Your Highness, of course. Who knows what the future may tell.
Oh, but he doesn't think that Helen's gonna choose him, because he's gonna be like, I actually want Penelope.
Sweet talking, my father, I've made my choice. You're the one for me, you're the boy. Oh, but Helen, take my word for it, Menelaus is right for you. On top of that, you're not the one I choose. Excuse me, what? Picked me.
So he's playing wingman to get his way and also get his friend in there.
He picked me, he picked me, she picked me.
Oh. So just a really cute love song telling like their origin story of them coming together. I can see why it might not have been included. Not because it wasn't great, but because the focus is just a little bit different than what we ended up getting. This is Man of the House by Rocky or Rochi. Rochai. One of those. Rochi. And let's just figure it out. So Man of the House.
At the age of 13, I became the third king of Ithaca and did it with pride. The years passed by and it clearly was time for me to find a faithful bride. Everybody wanted Helen of Sparta. I wanted someone smarter. Part of a family tree was the girl. A girl I would give the world to see.
So this is fascinating. We're seeing this iteration telling the story of how he came to be with Penelope. We got this one, Man of the House, and then the last one as well that was saying the same thing, Pick Me. And it's interesting to see that at one point this was very important to Jorge to be able to tell this part of the story, but it seems like that focus changed, or the story changed, or at least the framing, because he's adapting, or at least making something inspired by, depending on how you want to frame it, a massive piece of source material, and so there's going to be things that he has to cut or has to change or has to move around. So it's interesting that this at one point was very important to him, and as far as I remember, we don't get the story in the in the finished product.
She made every heart in our vicinity soar, felt like infinity roar. She was the first thing I had an affinity for. She's what I saved my virginity for. Oh, she was the cleverest girl I'd ever seen. Articulate, serene, the wittiness of my dreams.
That's very bold, saving your virginity for someone who doesn't know that they're... we don't need to get into that here on YouTube.
Girl I'd ever seen, articulate, serene, the wittiness of my dreams. I wanted to scream, and long before we had a chance to meet, I knew we were thinking the same thing. We were
first off, depending on does this pass the Danny DeVito test, which is kind of a joke writing test, but also a little metric to see how your character is coming off. So take all these same events, and instead of like a cute young man, picture it's Danny DeVito, and we'll see, does this read as creepy or as sweet?
Do I look like someone who could play house?
It depends on how hard he spanked me.
I'm not saying it's a creepy song, but I want to see it through that filter.
I would give the world to see.
Danny watching her from the bushes.
She made every heart in our vicinity soar, felt like infinity roar. She was the first thing I had an affinity for. She's what I saved my virginity for. Oh, she was the cleverest girl.
No, Danny, get off the roof. Okay. Yeah, so it doesn't read as good. That doesn't mean that it's bad. But it is a dynamic to be aware of when you are writing things, and that could be part of why he changed it, is just the fixation on her. But I think actually, I kind of like the effect of what happens, which is he's showing how he's admiring her mind or things that are reflected back in him. Like, he also has a sharp mind, obviously. But we see in the finished product a lot of that being implied and shown to us rather than outright spoken, which is often more advanced writing. So I can see how this evolved into what we ended up getting with whoever can string my husband's old bow and shoot through 12 inches clearly. My own cover is coming pretty soon if you're as excited as I am. That song. What's it called? I don't remember. Cut to me saying I have this whole thing memorized. But yeah, that's what comes to mind.
Articulate, serene, the wittiness of my dreams. I wanted to scream, and long before we had a chance to meet, I knew we were thinking the same thing. We were wondering, where is he? Where is the man who left you to I?
See, it's really saved by the fact that she is genuinely reciprocating the feelings here.
Where is the man with whom you'll spend your life? 'Cause in my darkest days, Penelope is my job.
Oh.
Time is fleeting, it's running out. Time to be the man of the house.
Okay, nice.
Penelope.
Now we've got I Need Her to Be Mine. This is by, I think, Himena Natso. I'm familiar with their work because we watched them in the main reactions, but I don't remember the pronunciation. All right, I Need Her to Be Mine.
She's the smartest girl in the game, and 17 was the age that I knew that we
I'm
would be engaged. She was out of
so glad it's not Danny DeVito. So yeah, we see more of this wanting to... We see more of this wanting to tell this one specific part of the story, which I just don't think ended up making it, other than little snippets in Would You Fall in Love with Me Again, maybe?
Get out of this world, but I couldn't seem to get over this girl. So I asked for help from the one I trusted the most. You've got to be kidding me. Athena, you gotta help me meet the girl of my...
I like that beat with Athena because it shows that he was viewing her as a friend, but kind of the softness from her, at least in the animatic, goes at odds with the early Athena that we saw, where she was looking for a general, and she softened a bit near the end. But I could see why he might have leaned away from that, if that was indeed his intention.
I'm in love and I mean it. Her name's Penelope and I need her to be mine.
Oh, he's got the little Athena melody.
Penelope is her name. She's the
Aw.
smartest girl in the game, and 17 was the age. Aphrodite.
Okay, Aphrodite, Can You Guide Me by Sunbrew.
Can you guide me? Tell me what she wants to hear. Can you help me? Cast your spell, please. Strike her with love so severe. Oh, show her my love is sincere.
So that's showing his relationship with gods, which we saw the same kind of thing implied in Horse and the Infant, where Zeus appears to him and he's not necessarily surprised that there's a god. So I like the world building that it does here. But it kind of just expands the cast to now include Aphrodite, which a lot of people know. Not everybody knows the gods and goddesses, but it is some like when you introduce something in your story, generally you want to be able to explain it within the confines of your story rather than just assuming presupposed knowledge, unless it's a sequel. And even then you have some work that you have to do. And so I could see why this would be an issue to keep in, because not only is it getting in the way of his relationship with Athena, not only is it taking proactivity away from him going after Penelope, not only is it a plot line that we know ended up getting cut, but I have ADHD and forgot where I was going with this whole setup. Hopefully I was articulating myself clear enough that you're able to figure it out. But you know, that's just the kind of content you get here. Sometimes I finish a sentence and other times I get to the end of it and say the wrong cranberry. All right. So full song, Ismarus.
Low on provisions, low on supplies, 600 guys sail north towards the port of Ismarus.
So Ismarus is a place. I don't know if this is Athena singing or if it's just her voice actress.
Isn't this
The land of the Siconis. Yes.
weakened and feeble from fighting the war? The Saconis keep their food hidden stored in Ismarus.
All right.
Okay.
Listen up.
The captain and his men devise a plan.
Yes, sir. We're currently
So this would have been part of the Troy saga. So this is showing them looking for food. So I'm guessing before Cyclops.
Fighting against the current. We're low on nourishments and it's impossible to flourish. We are low on food, low on supplies. Need to feed 600 guys. Need to beat this fleeting time with speed and resources in mind. Fellow brethren, together we need a plan. Do we raid the nearest city or leave and take a chance? Whoever.
So this is setting up kind of an us versus them mentality, which I know we see in the musical as we get one of those main themes, ruthlessness is the mercy upon ourselves, hammered in. But I feel like this is a bit of an earlier introduction to it than we saw if that's happening in the Troy saga. Although I guess we did see elements of that literally from the first song. So I am a fool.
Wishes to speak, please take a stand.
Eurylochus is second in command.
Captain.
So this is an early
Take
song.
the boar by the jugular and hit him where it hurts now. Captain. Victors of the war, we don't have to ask permission or for trust now. Raid that city, sack that town. Where was their pity when they struck our men down? Captain.
So even then, we see kind of those early seeds of Eurylochus with us versus them. They wouldn't do the same to help us, so we need to survive. Eurylochus is one of my favorite characters in this, so I have a soft spot for him.
Tell me, did we come this far so we could all starve now?
If we don't get that food, our lives are lost.
If you take a life to save a life, does it justify the cost? Wait!
Oh,
There must
so there's a structural reason this might have been removed, is thematic cohesion. So I took away the main theme of Epic, and hear me out because I know that I am wrong. I took away the main theme of Epic being trauma and healing and what it means to do that. And then I watched something else. I was like, oh, the main theme of this is trauma. And then something else. I'm like, oh, trauma. And then now I'm meeting 2 times a week with my therapist. But Jorge apparently says that the main theme is ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. And it's important to establish that kind of early on, either explicitly or implicitly. You don't have to, but it just really helps clarify like the bigger picture of your story. And so early on, by having such a philosophical claim, if you take a life to save a life, does it justify the cost? It in a lot of ways, like that is that is ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves, but it's such a specific framing of it and a specific phrasing that it could drown it out. And I mean, that could be fixed with a simple revision rather than cutting the whole song, but that's just one thing that stuck out to me.
Life, does it justify the cost? Wait, there must be another way. Polities, the captain's best friend.
Polities.
Why don't we leave the bloodshed for another day? The war is over, let's do no harm. Let's find a place with open arms. Get what
Oh, even that early we see open arms as a philosophy. So that must have been like a pretty early development for him. This art is stunning, by the way. Whoever did this concept art or concept album art, I would love to I want to just commission all of the art for everything.
play it safe and make it home.
Even if we found another place, we might have these same problems.
Assuming you'll live long enough to solve them.
So Athena had a very present role.
Rally half the troops. You'll raid the city of Ismaris tonight.
Yes, Captain.
Eurydice,
Captain.
our men are not to use any lethal force in this fight.
Sir, wait. Let me get this straight.
So that's interesting. We can see that contrasted with where we ended up finding Odysseus when he was interacting with the Lotus Eaters for the first time, where he didn't lead sword swinging, but he also kind of said, we have a bunch of men who are going to come and burn this whole place down if you threaten us. So this is a more explicit acceptance of that open arms philosophy.
You want no lethal force in a city-wide raid?
That's correct.
But sir, what exactly do you expect?
No lethal force, don't kill. What about that doesn't connect?
There's a reason I
That's the-
object. Forgive me, sir, but that's preposterous. The
I mean,
second we attack, there's bound to be some deadly consequence.
I don't care. I gave an order. Enough said. The war was full of gore. No more of this bloodshed. Just steal what we need.
I'm curious if that's an interpretation or if that's genuinely how it went in the Odyssey, where he didn't want any kind of bloodshed, because that strikes me as very odd. Because I don't know. Sometimes I guess that's the whole theme. Is sometimes ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves.
And then retreat.
What keeps you up so late at night, my friend?
All I hear are screams.
Oh, and he saved this.
Close my eyes. I no longer dream. Only nightmares of those who've died. Nothing.
See, and that song, The Underworld, is so much more powerful with where it's placed close to the midpoint, where I was in tears when I heard it. So he's kind of thrown away his shot by using it so early.
Things what it seems.
Not every choice is black and white.
I keep thinking of the infant from that night. I keep thinking of the infant from that night.
Wow. Okay, so all of these songs, like, I don't think there's been any that I dislike, but also it's interesting because it is showing I don't know, it's showing priorities in how things were created, like how things came together, but it's also showing restructuring of ideas that were already really good. So I think that Jorge should absolutely be proud of what he's done here. Anyway, I think that is where we're going to call it for this one. And tomorrow, in tradition with my epic reactions, we're going to be back for the next 5 or so. And then we're going to do kind of a series till we get through all of these. I don't know how long it's going to be, depending on the length of the songs. And then hopefully, by the time this is done, it'll be June 1st, and my book will be out instead of just pre-out, which it is now pre-out. And if you want to check it out, check out the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one tomorrow. Woo!